Okay, great. So anyway, welcome again for joining us. I know this is a little bit earlier for us, so thank you for taking the time to join us this Thursday morning. Anyway, we are really thrilled to host this webinar today with that's presenting OpenPath. OpenPath is really leading the way about rethinking access control while bringing greater convenience to users and also maintaining high levels of security. OpenPath provides flexible cloud-based solutions, and they even utilize mobile phones as personal credentials, which you'll see later in the presentation. We at Motion Security as integrators, we actually had a chance to work on these products and these systems, both in Singapore and in India. And we're really happy with the products, with the technology, and also the people that we have worked with within OpenPath, which is really great. This webinar will be presented by Graham Annenberg, who is based in Los Angeles area in California. So it's their nighttime almost. And just a quick housekeeping for information, this is recorded and we'll be sharing the link of the recording with everybody that has RSVP'd for this webinar. So you can watch it later or share with your colleagues. Questions are very much welcome. And just if you have any questions, if something comes up, please add it to the question, to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will be addressing those at the end of the webinar. And let's see, yeah, so with all that said, I'm going to pass it over to you, Graham.
Great. Well, Ron, thank you so much for the intro. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to giving everybody here a bit more of an introduction to the OpenPath solution here tonight. Just to give a bit more of an idea of an agenda. First 20 minutes or so here, the idea is to take you all through a bit of a high-level presentation and overview of who OpenPath is, what we do, and how we do it, followed by an actual product demo where we're going to dive into the hardware, into the software, show a bit into these mobile credentials that Ron mentioned, and then really run with it from there. And we'll save time for questions at the end, so please don't hold back as well. My colleague Gino is on the Q&A and we'll be addressing, and I'll address them all at the end as well. So to start off, what I want to do is take everyone through the OpenPath solution and give a bit more information as to who we are and what we do. And so as everyone is probably aware at this point, OpenPath is an access control manufacturer. We make the readers that sit at the doors, the panels that go in the server rooms or maybe above the doors, and then we make the credentials and the cloud-based software. We do things a little bit different than most access control systems out there today, and that's really what I want to highlight throughout this presentation. So for starters, why even go with an OpenPath system? Ultimately, the reason that we designed this system was to create a better user experience. We saw a lot of issues with on-premise systems out there, credentials, people losing their badges, etc. And we thought there's got to be a better way to just go about access control in general. And don't just take it from us. Lots of large enterprises to big sports teams, universities, and everything in between have assessed and trust the solution as their security provider. And on top of that, industry professionals, people that look and rank access control systems on a day-to-day basis, actually ranked OpenPath at the top as the top system out there today, as well as the one that they believe is going to continue to improve and grow and be the top solution for the future. So we are really doing a lot of really interesting things out there. And now I want to talk a little bit more about why. These are the different aspects of the OpenPath solution, all very innovative in their own right, and we'll cover. But first and foremost is the modern IoT connected hardware, a very light footprint on site, very sleek in design, easy to install, but overall makes for a great user experience. It's very nice. Natively built cloud software. It's enterprise grade, it's built to scale. It has all of the features and functions that you would expect from any on-premise system out there, and then some, as well as some that are very unique, as well as encrypted credentials. We're going to talk a lot about the mobile credentials today, but we're not saying throw away all of your badges, you're mobile now. We fully understand the need for the physical credentials out there. We support encrypted ones, as well as any alternative credential outside of just the mobile one we'll talk about. And the entire system as a whole is open. And the reason that we wanted to build it like this is based on what we saw out in the industry. And what we saw was a couple of things. It was credentials, like the readers that you see at the doors, usually made by like an HID or something like that. These are the readers and the badges. And then you have different companies that are making panels. These companies are making the brains behind the operations that sit maybe in the server room, And then you have another company that's actually making the software that's running it. And that software might be on-premise and might be cloud-based. And when you build kind of a structure, an infrastructure like this, what we discovered is going to happen is it's going to block innovation. If one wants to upgrade, you need to make sure that the other two can follow suit. And it just becomes a bit of a hodgepodge of systems being mixed together instead of something that can provide you a lot of value. So to start off, the first problem that we saw was badges, just the standard badge you see every single day. And if you have multiple offices, you might have multiple badges, and you need one for your gym, and you need one for your house, and you need one for everything else in between. And so a lot of issues that we saw with badges, first and foremost, was the user experience. If people lose badges all the time, they forget them at home regularly. From a managerial perspective, when somebody loses their badge, you have to key a new one in, give them a new one. That costs money. And from a security perspective, this is actually a local grocery store to me in Los Angeles. And I took this picture. That's why it's not super professionally done. But you'll actually see there's a badge right here on this. So you can pay 10 US dollars and make a copy of a badge. So it's not the most secure technology out there. So we wanted to think of something better. Mobile might have been a good solution, and we saw that it was actually being done. Unfortunately, it wasn't being adopted. Only 2% of the industry, the access control industry as a whole, had adopted mobile. A couple of just the general reasons. First is Bluetooth reliance. So when you are dependent on Bluetooth, you're not going to get a fully reliable experience. If you think about maybe getting in your car, you connect to Bluetooth most of the time, and sometimes you just simply don't. So it's not an incredibly reliable signal. A poor user experience, and what I mean by that is you have to fumble around with your phone a lot just to make it work. So you have to get your phone out of your pocket, unlock it, maybe find the app, maybe press a button in the app. You let it spin, Bluetooth hopefully connects, and you go in. On top of that, it can be expensive. But really the big issue at hand was the user experience, where with a badge, it's very simple, right? You're going to grab your badge, you swipe it, and you go. It's as easy as that. But with your phone, you have to find your phone, pull out your phone, unlock your phone, close an app, open another app, find the door in that app, and then you press the button. So it was a lot of steps to success with these apps. So ultimately, OpenPath wanted to do something different, do something better. And we created what we call Wave to Unlock. What Wave to Unlock is I'm going to go ahead and kind of dissect what this woman is doing. She has her phone in her bag, and just by simply waving at an OpenPath reader, she's able to gain access to that entry point. So no need to fumble around with the mobile device. It's actually a touchless solution where you don't need to physically interact with the reader, but just by waving your hand at it, it's going to recognize your phone that is within range. We actually are going to send 3 signals off to the system instead of just Bluetooth. We're actually cell, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, have them race. The fastest opens the system for you. So it's very easy. You walk up, your phone's within range, you wave, and you walk through an entry point. And because this is mobile, you can do a lot of different things with it, everything from a basic user to a power user. And what a basic user can do is unlock doors. Maybe you're going to enable 2-factor authentication for them. So instead of just waving, you're going to force them to unlock their phone before they wave. So they have to prove that it's them by using the biometrics of their mobile device. Or you might have a super user who has remote unlock capabilities, can trigger lockdowns, can send out guest passes, all these unique features that can be done from the mobile app, and you get to define who can do what. So you get a lot more power than just simply a badge on a phone, so to speak, or a badge in general that can be easily lost. People are a lot more responsible with their phones. Everything is encrypted across the board. It's an entirely encrypted experience from end to end with TLS encryption. Opening a door is as secure as sending money to your bank. So ultimately, we made a really nice user experience. And we gave some really unique features, such as these guest passes that I mentioned, where let's say you have a vendor, a contractor, maybe somebody needs access to an entry point for an hour. You don't really want to make them download a mobile app to open that entry point for that small period of time they need access. And at the same time, when you give people visitor credentials like a badge, they get lost, they get stolen, they get thrown away. People leave with them, they keep them. So this is a really nice solution where you can actually send someone a link for a set period of time. And during that period of time, all they have to do is go into their phone's browser, press the unlock button, and it's going to work. And then it simply expires at the point in which you set. So very convenient, easy to set up, and it's definable who can actually send out these guest passes, and it's integratable into maybe a visitor management system that you might have. With that being said, I mentioned earlier that we're not getting rid of your badges, but we do sell encrypted badges. So these ones can't be copied or cloned. And then we're also backwards compatible to work with the badges that you have on site. So if you already have maybe, let's just say 1,000 badges to all of your employees, you don't necessarily have to take everyone's badges away, give them a new one. You can keep using your existing badges while maybe transitioning to more of a mobile first approach. But we know that badges are always going to be a requirement. You might need visual verification. It might be very helpful, but we believe that the mobile app is a great complement to badges in their own right. With that being said, there were other problems at hand. Another aspect of it that we saw was the reader technology and some of the hardware on site. So one, just the general aesthetic isn't well thought through. These are old devices that haven't been updated in a really long time. Some can have physical security flaws. Some are better than others, but there is a lot of readers out there in the world. With OpenPath, we wanted to design hardware that it's beautiful, it's easy to install, it's incredibly functional, it's at a good price. So ultimately, we wanted to give a solution that's going to be a bit nicer across the board, appealing to the eye when you're walking up. Readers are the first thing that people see when they're approaching your space. Why not make that look as inviting as possible? On top of that, OpenPath does manufacture the panels. So we make everything from single door controllers, which are PoE powered devices. They're going to sit right at an entry point. They're all connected to the internet. So even in the event of an outage, and we're cloud-based, you're not going to experience any downtime. But the single door controllers all the way up to a campus where you would take advantage of our core series, which will allow you to go anywhere from 4 doors to 24 doors on one Ethernet uplink, and you're not going to have to expand further. And so it's very easy to go and install as you see fit. And then we're going to support all of the different entry points that you have. So say doors a lot, but we do support elevators and turnstiles and parking garages, and we integrate with systems that allow you to work with the front lobby and the iPad check-in or something of the sort. So very flexible in terms of our hardware offering. It's very easy to install, and it's a very light footprint. Because we're not an on-premise system, we're based in the cloud. You don't need to host servers and deploy them on site. It's very easy to get these things set up and connected to the internet, and then connected across the board. Because we're cloud-based, multi-site is what we do really well if you have multiple spaces in a variety of areas. On top of that, so really the biggest issue that we saw at the end of the day was the software that was being housed on-premise. So these are some of the largest players that are out there today. And this is a lot of their updated software. And so it's stuff that was built a very long time ago. It's very hard to upgrade because it is on premise. It can be very costly. And it can be very difficult to just do simple administrative tasks that you need to take on. So ultimately, we wanted to build an enterprise grade cloud solution that can match and give you feature parity, if not then some, with the systems that you already have in place today. So if you need to do something simple and remote, such as maybe you had to let someone go and you have to suspend or delete their credential and you're on vacation, you can actually get this done really quick because it's browser-based. You just simply sign on and you're able to make those changes as you see fit. But we're going to give you real-time analytics, real-time data. It's very easy to change schedules, updates, do everything that you need to do. And because it is cloud-based, I am going to give a demo of this software in just a little bit. So I'm not going to go feature by feature right here. But we are a completely open system. So open API, open framework. So what this means is that we're integratable. It's very easy to integrate with systems that you're using on a day-to-day basis. And it allows for a lot more flexibility across the board. When I say open API, some people get very excited. Some people kind of roll their eyes and say, dang, I have to do a lot of work just to make this work. But OpenPath actually does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So in this example here, one of the native integrations that we have built already, so it's point and click for you, is our integrations into your IDPs or just your directory services. So if you use Gmail or Office 365 or maybe single sign-on through Okta or OneLogin, it's very easy to actually just simply sync with these, do a user database sync, do group mapping, assign credentials, all automated for you. If you have to let someone go, just suspend their email address and we'll suspend them in OpenPath. We're going to mirror what you're doing there, saving you a lot of time and one of the more arduous processes associated with access control. And the list is always growing. So we are integrating with different systems that you're using on a day-to-day basis, and we're always growing this list because of the open API. We're able to build new partnerships and technology partners regularly, and it's based off customer demand. So as you want it, we're working to build it. So everything from video integrations to, as I showed, directory, alarm, to interesting things such as visitor management and everything in between. I mean, the list is always growing. It's amazing what we're able to do to allow you to keep on integrating with other pieces of your system, of your your workflows and your businesses to help you. And of course, with the open API, it's just going to be endless. And then, we just have these unique features that are just going to be beneficial to you in general. So things such as video, being able to actually pull the video into our system so you can get the face to the name. We're going to integrate with some of the top players in the video space to allow you to do so. Lockdown, which is actually built natively into our system. So in the event of an emergency, you can trigger a lockdown, and we consider them flexible. So if you need different entry points to do different things, some to unlock, some to lock, very easy to figure out how to trigger those and do them in different ways. So it's a very flexible solution that's going to give you a lot of benefit. And then tailgating, which is just very interesting. It's very unique, where you don't necessarily want to get a turnstile installed. It's very expensive, but you do want to know that every person that's entering is authenticating. They're all waving at the reader. They're using their badge. They're using your phone. You could actually, implement one of these tailgating solutions. We integrate with these different providers so that you can, track every person that's coming in and help to enforce and make sure that somebody isn't holding the door open for their friend, so to speak. Finally, other pieces is just the fact that we can keep up to date with what's going on in the world, and we can do so in a very nimble fashion. So back last year, we actually used to call the Wave solution Touch, but because of what happened in the world with COVID, people didn't want to touch things anymore. We were actually able to push a firmware update down to our readers, allowing you to now wave at them. So you don't have to physically interact with the readers. We did that in about a week and a half. We've also implemented things such as occupancy management if you not even know how many people are in your space. Wellness verification if you need to fill out a form and you want to make sure people do so, stating they're okay to come in prior to coming in, or even integrating with temperature screening systems if you wanted to take people's temperatures at the door and then have the access control system do the authentication and enforce that. All of these we were able to nimbly build in a quick fashion to basically benefit our employees, our customers. And that was something that we were able to do very quick in comparison to a lot of on-premise systems, where it does take a lot longer to make something like this happen because you need to change what's going on site. Finally, we're compliant across the board. So whether it's a CCPA or GDPR, or you're going to need a SOC 2, Type 2, or whatever it might be, we are a completely compliant, cyber secure as well as physically secure solution. And we actually, just as a kind of final fun note, our technical support. So our technical support, it's not normally something that folks brag about, but our tech support is fantastic. You'll see that we have a 97% CSAT. So when people call, they're getting answered in roughly 12 to 24 minutes. We're able to solve their issues on normally the first try 90% of the time. And people are just really happy with the support that they get. And because we manufacture both the hardware and the software, we actually can support across all. So in comparison to maybe an existing system that's siloed, where maybe there's a reader manufacturer, a panel manufacturer, and a software manufacturer, if something goes wrong, it's very hard to know which support to call. OpenPath, we are your source of truth, which is very beneficial because we can help you diagnose the issues a lot faster. So that really is the OpenPath platform. And that is it in a high level, in a nutshell. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment here while I actually get this hardware set up. So just bear with me for 1 second, folks, as I'm pulling this up. What I want to do now for the next couple of minutes here prior to going into a Q&A is I want to actually take everyone through the platform in its own right and show the user experience in action. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And what we're looking at is a couple of different things. So on the left, this is the cloud-based software. It's browser-based, control.openpath.com. You can sign in and see everything that you'll need to see, and we'll spend a little bit of time in here. And on the right, this is actually some of the OpenPath hardware. So these are the OpenPath readers. This is the 4-door panel from OpenPath. However, we do have 8-door panels, single door controllers, and we can interconnect them to make them larger panels as well. And then I actually do have my phone just right here with me. It has the OpenPath app on it. So first and foremost, if I wanted to simply open an entry point, a couple of ways I could do it. First is I'm just going to go ahead, press a button in the mobile app. And what you'll see is when I press this button, it's going to pop that reader open. And what it's also going to do is in the cloud software, let you know that I just did that in real time. So you'll see in real time, it states that about 6 seconds ago, which is about when I opened it, I just, in fact, opened that reader. So you are getting everything in real time in the cloud. But obviously, the big benefit to OpenPath is what you can do with your phone closed, where you see here, I'm going to take my phone, close it, and now I'm just going to simply walk up and wave at that reader. So similar to what I showed in that GIF in the presentation, It works in real life just as well. You walk up, you wave at a reader, and you walk through the door. It's very simple. Just walk, wave. It's as easy as that. But we can take this a couple steps further. One is you can actually close the app out. So if you see here, I'm going to close out of every app on my phone. So now there isn't any apps running, including the OpenPath app. So we actually patented this technology. It's very unique to us. So even without the app running, you can still get the same exact experience. So it's really nice. It's very fast. This is great if maybe employees are coming back to work on a Monday or a Tuesday. They had the weekend off. They restarted their phone. They closed out of their apps. They don't need to launch the app prior to being able to come into an entry point. So that part is very nice. But on top of that, we can meet your different security characteristics. So a normal question that comes up is, what's that range between phone and reader? I see you're waving at the reader right now. Is your phone like 6 feet away? Well, you actually get to define it per reader, how close or far you want them to be from each other. So on this reader here, when I wave, it's instantaneous. My phone is like 4 or 5 feet away. But if you watch this reader over here, what you'll see is it's not working by design because my phone needs to touch that one. So that one is mirroring more of, let's say, an Apple Pay experience where you have to physically touch your phone to the reader for it to open. So per reader, you get to actually design the security characteristics to define what makes the most sense for each entry point you have. You could take it a step further as well and enable two-factor authentication, which requires somebody to unlock their phone, which now means that they need to go through the biometrics of their mobile device, such as a fingerprint, a Face ID, a PIN code, prove that it's them prior to waving at the reader and gaining access. So overall, a very differentiated mobile experience. We have a lot of patents surrounding everything that I just showed you. So it's going to remain very unique to us for a while, but it's very nice. A couple other pieces about the hardware before I talk a bit more about the software. One, the panels. I did briefly mention this, but the panels, they are connected to the cloud. So they are going to be connected to the internet. A common question is what happens if the internet goes down? We do store everything from the cloud on the panel as well. So in the event of an outage, you're not going to have to worry that your system is going to be non-functional. It's going to remain running, and everything is going to act exactly as you would expect. If you were to make any changes when the internet goes down, we're just going to sync that back up when it happens. But we'll store all of the events on site while the internet is out, and then the sync is going to continue back on when the internet comes back. So network outages are not an issue for us. And then everything is very easy to install. And in the event of a power outage, not really anything to worry about. It's just simply going to tap into the backup battery, typically speaking. What I want to do now is go a little bit further into the actual cloud software. So one of the first things that I want to show is we've been showing everything happening in real time. You can also monitor on one of the other dashboards. There's a couple different views you can take. You can actually monitor the hardware as well. So this is our hardware dashboard where, because OpenPath manufactures the readers, the panels, the cloud software, you actually have a really nice view of what it all looks like. So in the event of maybe an outage, a reader goes offline or something of the sort, you can actually come into your hardware dashboard, see the health of your system in real time, and you can even perform remote diagnostics such as a restart, a refresh, or you could actually just simply ping a reader. So for example, I just set that reader to identify. So this won't open a door, but it's going to state, this is the reader that I need to work on. Or, hey, I'm locked out of the back door. Can you let me in? You get a call from an employee. You could actually go ahead and hit this button, say, did you hear that? And when you can hear that beep go off, you can then remotely let them in through the mobile app. So a lot of power you can have instead of maybe needing to go on site. And then from there, we do have a lot of different reports that you can take advantage of. So one, everything is stored in your account. It's very easy to pull, and it's very easy to view. And you'll see here, if we look at a general activity log over the past 24 hours, what you'll get is the time, the date, how they unlocked an entry point. We do have some video, and I will talk about that integration in just a little bit. But we can, see the user, which door they open, where they open the door from, how they open the door, and everything in between. So you get all of the raw data for each event. And then you can break this out in a lot of different ways. So if you wanted to look at it by user, you can. I like this report. If you were curious to see the activity at a specific entry point, you absolutely can. So this is showing me everything that's happened over the past 24 hours at my JFK1 reader. So I know that this is getting a lot of action. A lot of people are using this reader on a daily basis. But then what's kind of interesting is I can even break that out by hour of day. So if I wanted to get some insights on when people are typically using the system, at what times and what they're doing, what I could actually see here is most of that activity actually occurred between 7 and 8 a.m. my time. And then a little bit of the activity was occurring around 6:30 p.m., which is my time right now. It's actually 6:30 p.m. On Wednesday. And so you'll see here that everything is being displayed for you. So this can be really insightful if you're trying to bring people back to work and maybe you see bottlenecks at entry points of everybody coming at specific times. It can inform you that maybe you need to spread out people's shifts or schedules or anything of the sort to maybe help enforce social distancing. And then I did mention that there are some camera analytics and reports you can get from this. Well, we do integrate into different video systems that are out there. And if anybody has questions about which ones, I'm happy to dive into that. But this is really nice from a visual activity perspective. You can actually tie cameras to entry points. And so this integration actually is showing you that Ashley opened the JFK1 readers at these different times. So a lot of people have been opening them. So when somebody actually goes and hits a reader, you can verify that it was them with the visual activity report as well. And then finally, portal audit report for everyone in IT over here. In the event that you do have multiple administrators within the portal, you actually can check on the work that they're doing. So these are people that maybe are changing users, editing schedules, making edits to doors or anything in between. Give it a sec to load here because it does get a lot of data. This is actually going to tell you what changes they're making in this control center. So if something does make a change, let's say they delete a couple of users, you can know and understand that. And you maybe if they weren't supposed to do that, you can go back and make sure of it. So this is giving you a running log of all of the changes that are being made on the back end of the system as well. So you're getting a lot of reports. They're very insightful. They're going to give you a lot that you'll need to get the job done. With that being said, the next couple of pieces that I kind of want to quickly breeze through. First is user management. So there's a couple of ways you can go about managing users in our system. The couple that you'll see here, G Suite, Azure, Okta, and OneLogin. So in a couple of ways, they're going to be similar. Some have more functionality than others. But if we take Google as an example, and you're using Gmail for all of your employees, if you have that Gmail, what you can actually do is sync with the OpenPath system. And we come here and we look at user management. If you're doing the G Suite sync, everybody would get automatically brought over. They would get a profile that looks something like this. This is me. And they would actually get mobile credentials automatically assigned to them if you would like them to. From there, you can upload card credentials, anything else, and each user can have multiple credentials, meaning you can give someone the mobile app, you can give them a badge, you can give them 2 badges, and you can let them choose which they would prefer. You don't have to force someone into mobile. We do have about a 90% adoption of mobile. So meaning given the choice between going with phones or cards, people are typically choosing their phones, which we're really happy about, given that the industry was not very high prior to OpenPath. With that being said, in terms of group management, let's say you have a couple offices. If you wanted to actually sync with your directory provider and you have groups broken out, let's say once again in Gmail or Azure, you could have them automatically mapped to OpenPath groups. So they can come over to a group, they'll get assigned the appropriate entry points, and then it's all managed for you. So somebody can get automatically brought in, assigned a credential, mapped to the appropriate groups, which house the entry points they have access to. And it's all running from there. So it's very easy. And then the same thing happens on the flip side. If you have to let someone go, you're probably going to suspend or delete their email or maybe their credential in Okta, and they're going to be automatically removed from the OpenPath system as well. So it's bilaterally syncing. With that being said, if you did not want to go with the directory sync, there are other options, such as you can do the manual user management. You can always do a CSV import, very simple. We actually give you example files that you can pull out and upload all of your employees or anything into. Or if you just wanted to sync card credentials, you can grab it out of an existing system and push it into a new. Very easy. So you're able to go and simply get your users uploaded via CSV, or you can do user management one by one. And you could also run these in hybrid. So if you wanted to add a couple users, maybe you have a couple part-time employees, you can simply add them in here, and then you can sync the rest of your full-timers with G Suite or Active Directory. So very easy to manage users. And you could also put your groups of users on schedules, as well as your admin, you can give very granular permissions to. So we have different sorts of permissions for people who can make administrative changes, from a super admin, which we give to a couple people in this portal, And these people can do everything and anything within our system. So they have all of the rights and permissions to do whatever they see fit. However, you actually can break this out in a variety of ways. So you'll see this role here is Kyle's California role. And if I wanted to say that I have access to only do administration work for the California office, even though we have 10 offices on OpenPath, you could actually break out what users can do access for what sites. So you'll see here, I have access to 3 of many sites. So you could actually break out permissions, both for people going into just simply entry points to those that are actually coming and making administrative changes and everything and anything else in between. So user management is very straightforward. It's very cut and dry. There is a lot of options in terms of how you can do user management, and it's very easy to automate across the board. So overall, it makes it hopefully a bit easier than maybe some of the on-premise systems that are out there today. Finally, the last piece that I want to walk everybody through is general management of sites. So I've mentioned a couple times here that one of the benefits of going with a cloud-based system is the fact that you can manage multiple sites. I call it from one pane of glass, but from your browser, from your portal. It's very easy. You'll actually see here, we manage 20 different sites in our OpenPath demo system. So we have 20 different sites that we work on. So let's say it's California and New York and Texas and London and Ireland. We have a couple different sites across the country and world. From there, it's very easy. We kind of put this in a hierarchical structure where at the top of this hierarchy is the site. One step down, these are your actual zones. So if we took a look at, let's say, London, for example, London and the zone within it is a group of entry points. So what the benefit of this is instead of going door by door, person by person, assigning out access, instead, you can just say that these 5 entry points here, these groups and these people get them. So you're kind of just playing matchmaker. You're making your groups of people, and that can be automatically imported in through your directory provider. And then you can sync that with your zones of entry points. And so instead of going door by door, person by person, you're putting your people in groups, your doors in zones, and you're just playing matchmaker in the middle. So it becomes very cut and dry. And then at the bottom of my hierarchy here, we have the actual entry points. So if we take a look at some of the different entries that we have, some of the things you can do with it, you can name it, give it an entry behavior. An entry behavior, this is what I mentioned earlier with the stricter forms of security. So in a convenience mode, it's exactly as it sounds. It's very convenient. You walk up, you wave at a reader, and you gain access. But let's say you have a server room door and you need stricter security on it, you can enable 2-factor authentication. And instead of having to manage 2 databases with maybe a biometric reader like a fingerprint or a face, now you're actually taking advantage of the biometrics of someone's mobile device. So somebody just has to unlock their phone, proving that it's them prior to gaining someone access. And I don't give people my PIN code to my phone very often. So people are a bit more reliable and trustworthy with their phones than maybe some badges. We do have a lot of baked in alerts and notifications out of our system, and I will touch on those in a bit. A couple of those just out of the box are ajar and forced open. So if somebody leaves a door open, you can be notified through a SMS or email. Same thing if somebody tries to break in or forces a door open, you can be notified as well. And then at the bottom here, I showed earlier those different ranges. So if you have a long distance reader, maybe you're going to have this on further. Somebody's phone can be much farther away, and they're still going to be able to gain access. And then you actually can have on near, where your phone can be much closer, where you have to physically touch the reader with your phone to make it open. So you get to define what makes the most sense for you per entry point, and it can be different per, which is very nice. And then finally, scheduling. I hope, based on everything you've seen here, it comes as no surprise that we have scheduling built into our system. The reason I like to show it is just because of how easy it is. So I'm actually going to delete these out really quick so I can show what an entry schedule and setting it up looks like. But let's say you want to put your entry points on a 9 to 5. So just simple, 9 to 5 schedule. I'm going to take 4 entries here and I'm going to put them on a 9 to 5. So now from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, I want the doors in a convenience mode. So that means I just walk up and wave during normal business hours. However, after hours, let's say from like 5:01 p.m. until 8:59 a.m., we just want stricter security because we want people to feel safer in their space. So we're going to make them unlock their phones after business hours. So just adding that extra layer of security, maybe on site when home, anything in between. And then one-time events. So let's say, where it's a holiday, I'll take it, one in the US is we actually have one next week. And so Monday we have off. So we're going to lock down the office so nobody can get in, take your day off, enjoy it, have fun, come back Tuesday. So you'll see here, I'm going to actually just put this holiday on, and it's going to be prioritized number one over the recurring schedules. Now, during this period of time, it's just going to override the recurring schedules, and it's done at 5 p.m. on the 31st. So very easy to get different schedules set up. They're all very flexible, and you can do it by door, by groups of doors, by user, or by groups of users. So let's say you have an after hours cleaning crew. You might want to give that user or that group of users access from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. And it's different from the normal door schedules for your employees. You can set that up as well. So you do have a lot of flexibility there. So that's everything I wanted to show for doors. I have about 6 more minutes here. So just a couple other fun things that I'm going to cover really quickly, and then I'm going to open this up for questions. So just bear with me, folks. Configurations and alerts. So OpenPath, we have a really robust alerting engine, and it can be done in a couple of ways. So first, you'll see this list is really long. So I'm not going to go line by line and show you every single thing that's in here. However, you can get alerts via text message or email, and it's very easy to input for something as simple as an entry ajar or an entry unlock failed, meaning that it didn't work for some reason or it got denied, or an occupancy management breach, meaning let's say you have an occupancy of 10 for a room and the 11th person just badged in. You can be notified of that, and you can actually enforce on top of that. Or you could actually go out and create your own custom rules. So this is our rules engine that we have built. And what this is if this, then that functionality baked into our system. So in the event that I'm going to take an example here that I built, every time something happens, so let's say somebody hits a reader, and this is my JFK4 reader, I actually want it to, I'm going to say sound or turn on a flashlight. So I have a flashlight attached to this, but maybe you want it to hit a sounder, or you want something to go off, or you want it to send an alert. So if I hit this reader, what you're going to see happen is across the top here, a light is actually going to go off. So that's because of this rule that I wrote. It's a custom notification as well as a flashlight, a third-party device attached to my system. So you can create your own custom rules based off whatever might happen. Maybe you want to keep track of people going into the server room after hours and you want to be notified. You can create rules off of that. So anything custom or out of the ordinary that we might not bake in, you can actually do on your own. So it's very easy and you don't have to write a line of code. So this is a very powerful tool that gives you a ton of flexibility without ever having to lift a developer's finger to touch an API. And then finally is the actual customization of your dashboards as well. So we do have custom dashboards built into our system. So if you like the views that I showed you at the beginning, great. However, if you don't, you can go and build your own. So you'll see here, I actually have the ability to create my own widgets. I have the ability to change the size, the shape, how they fit on the screen. Maybe I want the activity feed higher up, so I could actually move that to the top. And then I want to know who's coming into the JFK4 reader. So if you have a GSOC, maybe it makes sense that you have a manager looking at this in a different way than a receptionist. So you could actually create your own custom widgets that you're going to add onto your own dashboard, and it's very easy and flexible across the board. With that being said, that is everything that I wanted to cover here today. I am going to go ahead and stop my share. I did a lot of talking. I hope that was helpful, folks. I see some questions coming into the Q&A. So with that being said, any questions that you have, please start dropping them in, and I'm going to start addressing them in real time here. All righty. So I see a couple open questions, and Gino, please feel free to type in the answers as I'm announcing these as well. But can you please share about the flexibility of having an open API? What systems could I take from my current environment and put in? That's a great question. Just to give some common examples is, let's say maybe you have a time clock or like a booking system or something of the sort. You want to tie it in with your HR system. So you want to actually get the access control event, maybe as their punch in. We don't natively integrate with those systems, but a lot of people might be using them. So that is one that could be very helpful. If you have, a lot of folks will use Workday, for example, and they want to user sync with Workday. That could be a great example. Splunk or any sort of data management tool. A lot of people like our information to get pushed to those, so such as a Splunk. So there are a lot of customizations you can do with the Open API. It's a very large list. Any system that can accept a REST-based API call realistically can integrate into our system or we can integrate into them. So it's a very long scrolling list. Most modern softwares out there today can't. Question number 2, if I have an on-premise solution, I would like to shift slowly to a cloud-based. Is there a hybrid? That's a fantastic question. And there absolutely is. We have a solution or an implementation method that we call mobile gateway. What mobile gateway is it gives you the ability to sit OpenPath on top of your existing system. So our panel would actually connect to yours, at which point, let's say you wanted to use the mobile app. You can wave at an OpenPath reader, and we would rewrite that credential to one that your system would recognize so that you can start taking advantage of the cloud-based system of the mobile credentials while not ripping out your infrastructure right away. So it's a really nice way to start breaking into the cloud without necessarily having to commit fully right away. So it's a transition path. It's an implementation path, which is very nice. This is also a very complex topic, so we are happy to address more and really talk about the technical details. But on a high level, our system would simply integrate into yours, and we would pass through the information to a credential yours would recognize by simply giving that. From there, the next question is, what is the long-run road plan of OpenPath? Where is cloud-based access industry going? We're hoping, as a whole, the trends that we've been seeing, especially in the US and now more globally, is that the access control industry as a whole is going cloud-based. And at OpenPath, we like to think we're the front runners. We're the ones that are kind of leading that charge. A lot of what we did when OpenPath first came to market was unheard of. Leading with a mobile solution was something that nobody was doing. It was an afterthought. But now a lot of companies and a lot of solutions are really pushing mobile a lot harder. Wave and touchless access control was something that OpenPath came about first in 2018, where now in 2021, a lot of folks are following suit because of the world we live in. People want to follow that. So something we've been doing for a very long time. And just with the world that we're living in nowadays, being on site isn't going to be as common. There's going to be a more flexible work environment. People are going to be able to work from home. So cloud is going to fit a lot better into that scenario where somebody might need to make a change to an access control system and you can't be tied to your system that's on site. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, which is what a lot of our customers are looking for and why cloud as a whole has really been taking off. And then the final question that I see here, could we export the dashboard to our own website or export the data to a BI tool? So that's a great question. That is exactly the benefit of the Open API, is anything that can accept either a webhook or a REST-based API, you're going to be able to basically take that and push it to wherever you might need. So if you would rather have maybe all of the OpenPath data living in your SOC, your Security Operations Center, you could have that pushed very easily. It's just going to be either a webhook or an API push out to your system. So yes, going back to the earlier question, that's exactly what the benefit of an Open API is the fact that it's going to make us integratable with different systems, different dashboards, your own websites, whatever it might be. And then Suresh, I see that you have a question here. How strong is the encryption on OpenPath? This can be, let's say, a much longer answer. I'm going to give a bit of the high level here to it, but there's a much deeper dive that we can go. We can share documentation after this as well. From the mobile perspective, as well as everything on site, so there's no data or information stored on the readers. Everything is stored on the panels, which is in the secured side of the door. Everything is TLS 1.2 encrypted. So therefore, every time you try to open an entry point, it's going to be as secure as sending money to your bank, for example. But Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and mobile, we're all stacking a layer of custom encryption on top of it. As you probably know, Bluetooth has vulnerabilities, but because we take this implementation method of it, we're actually kind of removing those vulnerabilities from our system of Bluetooth necessarily being copied or snuffed. So that's really big. And then everything is encrypted in the cloud end to end. Everything is mutually authenticated. And because we host the entire environment from the panels to the cloud and everything in between, it actually allows for mutual authentication, which in its own right is a huge benefit. So we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. So, you know, the reports can be shared with an NDA, but, you know, SOC 2 Type 2 is a good one to have when you're looking for cybersecurity. So I hope that answers the question. I know a lot further we can dive into that. Awesome. And that's all the, yeah, Ron.
I have one more question here about the CCTV integration. I don't think we saw it on the demo. Can you link the cameras like to specific doors and So the card readers, is that in the command center? Would people at the SoC level see that?
Absolutely. So we don't do video natively. We're the access control solution. We want to be the best in access control, and what we want to do is integrate with best of breed video solutions. So we kind of briefly saw it in the portal where you could actually pull video events in that are mapped to an entry point. So the integration that we saw was the one with Cisco Meraki. So Meraki camera is tied to a specific entry point, and when somebody walks in, it's going to give you that snippet of time that event happened. So instead of having to go into your VMS, try to track down the exact moment that somebody walked through a door and scrolling through and scrubbing through, instead, we're actually going to feed you that exact moment. So it's much easier to get to the desired information that you're looking for. Meraki is not the only one. We integrate with Milestone, Meraki, Rhombus, Cameo, Ava. The list really goes on. And we're always actually growing this list. But once again, with an open API, even if we don't natively integrate with them, because we have this open API, we have the ability to push to existing video systems as well that you might already have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, look, thank you for your time. I just want to tell everybody that if you have additional questions after this, or would like to learn more or about how OpenPath can be used in your organization, feel free to reach out to us at Blue Ocean here in Asia or to Graham directly. And Graham, do you want to show that contact information on the last slide, maybe? Just so people can take a look at that.
Let me pull that back up really quick.
And yeah, you can reach out to any one of us here, and we would be glad to help you or talk about your specific application and how OpenPath can help you with your future here. Again, we have had several installations here in Asia, and it's worked very smoothly at every level, and we highly recommend taking a look at this system and solution. Okay, so again, Graham, Gino, thank you very much for this this presentation. I think it was very good and very useful. So we'll continue to be in touch.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. And for everybody here in Asia, have a great day. And for Graham and Gino, have a good evening.
Thank you. All righty.
Goodbye for now. Bye.